we managed to grab the owner, the boss, the big cheese of Supanova Expo, to just a few quick questions as the convention's still going on. For starters, thanks for bringing this to Perth.
No worries.
We don't get these sorts of things here, and the fact that you bring it over here, it's incredible. And I think the 15,000 plus people that have probably come through the doors this weekend,
more than that,
has just shown you how much we love it. But I just wanted to ask, like, this is the 10th anniversary year.
Sure.
How did it all start? Like, why did you want to do Supanova?
Look, I think it began from a childhood obsession with comic books and Star Wars and cartoons and fantasy, and I mean, by the time I turned 12, I was reading fantasy novels. I was interested in Dungeons and Dragons and watching cartoons and Doctor Who after school, and totally enamored with Star Wars, of course, and reading comic books. So it's basically all that wrapped into one. Arcade games, of course, were a passion, and those days you had to, go elsewhere to play them, not home, and it sort of became. I got involved in selling comic books, and then doing so at conventions. There was one particular called OzCon. They ran between 92 and 98. And when they stopped doing it, I sort of put my hand up and said, "Hey, we need our own grand final every year of some sort of epicness to represent our passion." And so I just went, "All right, well I'll do it if no one else will." And Comic first turned into Supanova by 2002, and basically here we are 10 years later.
Wow. And obviously guests, you get some incredible guests every year, but when you look back at the 10 years, is there one guest that stands out for you?
Oh look, I have to say there's a couple. I mean, from comic books, I'm big, massive fan of Walt Simonson, and so on a personal level he was brilliant to have out. I consider his Thor run from 337 onwards to be seminal in comic books. And he was pre-Supanova, he was in 2001. And George Perez is a recent favourite as well. And then when it comes to sci-fi fantasy, like TV stars, I've got a special place for Summer Glau. She's just wonderful. And it's just, she was probably there at our first convention where we broke through and thought, hey, we can actually do this and create something that we can, function as a business proposition that's going to work and still be fun for fans and everything else.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a family business. You've got your mum and your dad, and I had a chat with your dad and mum as well, and your brothers and sisters. So is that a great thing to do, to be able to tour around Australia and bring your family with you?
Of course, and we've got people like, aside from Andrew and Sophia, my brother and sister-in-law, there's people like friends, lifelong friends, Stephen Yee, Dave Sachi, and people that I met through university, and a little bit later Felicity, Blake, who we've come up through like many years. Drew Tran, who was right with us from the second Comic Fest, and it's just it goes on, and we're basically building and retaining friendships and family and friends, and growing it into a business proposition, and having great talented people who are passionate about what they do coming together to do it.
Definitely. Well, we'll leave it there, but thanks very much for letting us be involved. We plan to be with you for many years to come.
Well, thank you.
And bring on next year.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Daniel.
Cheers, Darren.
Appreciate it, mate.